The clock counts down. It's the 8 p.m. newscast out of Nairobi. Kenyan show producers, technical directors, and a well-known Kenyan anchor prepping to bring African news to the continent and the world. But Africa Live is unusual. It's an African show produced by state-owned China Central Television, or CCTV, their flagship show in a big editorial push into Africa. If you look at this map, CCTV has bureaus all over the world, like any major news organization. But for their first broadcast hub outside of Beijing, their headquarters, they chose Nairobi. The question is, why?
The trade between China and the whole continent has reached $166 billion US. So China really has a very significant show up at this continent.
That show up is everywhere to see. Infrastructure projects, mining operations, textile manufacturers, and media. For years, China has quietly invested millions in technical upgrades of African state broadcasters and in training of African journalists. Now they're taking it a step further, poaching some of Kenya's best journalistic talent to tell the African story. What is the mission of your show?
The mission of our show is to change the narrative about Africa. And of course, it goes without saying, it's war, it's about hunger. We have all of that, yes. But tilt the scale, and if you can, show the potential and the solution to these, and not just point out blatantly what the bad side to it, the problems, the crises that we have.
Pang Tsing-Hua says existing coverage is one-sided.
We cover the news of what is happening in Africa. We tell a positive story of African people.
Talk Africa, a new voice for the world.
But media analysts say that CCTV's expansion in Africa is a way for the Chinese government to change the narrative of China's involvement in the continent, from one of exploitation to one of opportunity, and to make investment possibilities seem more attractive.
There's no doubt that the Kenya office being set up shows a lot about China's interest to also spread its own voice around the world, to maybe counter what the Western media has promoted about China.
But for that voice to be heard, CCTV's journalists know they need credibility. You're an arm of the government, effectively.
Yeah, CCTV is media by the Chinese government, but CCTV is a media. We also have our own professionalism.
Pang says that there's no censorship from Beijing. He points to the editorial board, which is dominated by Kenyans who make most of the decisions on coverage.
I still believe the state will play a large role in selecting what information will be shown on TV. It has been done in China for a long time.
It goes without saying, you can't say anything that is damning to the central government of
Chinese
China.
Government.
Yes, of course.
Mark Masai, one of CCTV's chief anchors, says that at his previous Kenyan employer, certain subjects were also off limits. And CCTV's expansion is a pioneering project worth signing up to.
In their bid to compete with the other big hitters and big shots in the international sphere, they have to also go as far as the others are going. Of course, there are limits, yes, and I made amends with that.